Hello and welcome back, everybody. Today I want to discuss ways that you can maximize your garden's potential, whether you are gardening in a postage stamp size yard or on acreage. There's some ideas I want to share with you today that can save you upwards of thousands of dollars if you apply these techniques. These are things that I put into practice and have seen come to fruition over the past decade, especially with my backyard food forest. And so I want to share these with you as we approach the 2021 gardening season. Spring's right around the corner here in the Northern Hemisphere. There's a lot of new gardeners. There's a lot of folks watching who want to expand their current plot. And I want you to have not just success in the garden, but at the end of the year, I want you to be able to look at what you've done and see the savings and feel great about that, because it really adds up over time, and there's a lot you can do with the money you save. And there's an old saying, a penny saved is a penny earned. Well, it's very, very true. If you're able to save a dollar here, a dollar there, and not only keep that to yourself, but maybe invest that in things that are going to give you a high rate of return. So you can look at the past few years. You've got stocks like Tesla. You've got alternative currencies like Bitcoin, where people are getting 10 times, 20 times, 100 times sometimes on their money. So if you're able to save money and then invest it into the future, things that you see are on the horizon that could possibly give you a good return. And this is not investment advice, just saying, if you can develop that mentality over time, it can equate to a big difference in your life financially and the stability of what you're creating in your life. So for me, I'm going to start off right here. There's certain crops that are readily available here that are very low cost, and I still do grow them in my garden, but I don't dedicate a large amount of space to them. One example I've given in the past is carrots. Love homegrown carrots. You're going to get the healthiest carrot, the best tasting carrot, and some unique varieties of carrots you can't find at the store if you grow at home. With that being said, it's easy to find a 5-pound bag of carrots that have been cleaned, harvested, ready to go for under $5. So that's not really a crop that's going to give me the most bang for my buck, so to speak. On the other hand, there are things like asparagus, which is very expensive for organic asparagus by the bunch, which that would be very much worth growing your own at home, as well as things like oranges, let's say, because a bag of oranges can cost upwards of $8-9, and I've got more oranges than I can consume now off of just one of my trees, and I've got a couple. So you can see how the difference of the choice of the crop that I'm growing really comes into play, which brings me to the second point, which is perennials versus annuals. I'm a big fan of establishing more and more perennials in the garden because it's set it once and forget it, basically, and reap the harvest for 5, 10, 20, 30, 40 years, depending on what the perennial plant is. And there's a lot of power to that, because as those plants continue to root out and develop deep root systems, they become more resilient and require less from you in the way of care, watering, fertilization. In some cases, you may need to do absolutely nothing and just continue to reap the rewards. So keep that in mind. Annual gardens are great. When most people get started, they're all going to do the same thing pretty much, which is tomatoes, corn, eggplant, and I'm a big fan of all these crops, growing them at home. But if you really want to maximize what you're able to actually save throughout the year, try to find crops that you know that you purchase, whether it's apples or oranges or whatever it may be, asparagus, and try to grow those things, the things that are the most expensive at the store that you know you can grow. So that's the first tip. And then the second tip is to grow perennials, as many as you can, over annuals, because you're going to get the greatest return on that as well. Now, I also want you to take a moment to value your time. Time is so important, okay? And we all have to earn an income. So whether you're a 9-to-5 person or you're working from home, what is it that you would value your time per hour on a full-time schedule basis? Okay, so figure out what that number is, and understand that when you head out to the grocery store to buy a few ingredients, whether it's to buy a couple tomatoes, eggplant, and a head of lettuce for your dinner, that takes you 30-45 minutes. I really want you to factor in what your time is valued at as well, because you're not just buying the produce, but you're more than likely going to get in a car. Maybe you're on a bike, that's great, but you're more than likely going to get in a car. You're going to burn some gas, or expend some electric energy, and you're going to get down there and you're going to spend 30 minutes, an hour, who knows, picking up your produce, waiting in line, purchasing, coming home. So maybe you like that sort of thing, and I get it. Getting out, doing some shopping is fun time to time. But in all honesty, you got to factor in the total cost of that trip, not just the cost of the item. And when you do that, it really opens your eyes to the true cost of things. Because again, we all have a value on our time, and it's important to realize what that is for you. All right, so I took a few notes here I'm looking at. We talked about the rarity of the plant. No, we didn't actually. Okay, so the rarity of the plant. This is another wonderful reason to grow food at home, and not just grow your typical thing like a beefsteak tomato or an eggplant, which again, I'm a big fan of these things, but if you can focus on what can you grow that you might not be able to buy easily, one of my favorite crops in that category is Armenian cucumbers. Everyone should grow Armenian cucumbers as an annual throughout the summer because it's so prolific and produces an abundance of food, and it's delicious, and you can juice them and you can slice them, put them on salads. You can get creative with it, and they're very easy to grow and hard to find at the store. So that would be a crop that I would consider growing over something else like maybe a standard cucumber, which is in a different family actually. The Armenian cucumber is actually a melon, but it tastes much like a cucumber. But again, if you contrast the two as far as the value and the rarity of it, then you're going to get more for your money growing Armenian cucumbers. Another good crop for us is the jujubes. Jujube trees, also known as Asian dates, absolutely delicious on the tree, very hard to find. I have found them at farmers market, but I got to tell you, the taste didn't compare to what we grew at home, and the price was up there. So to be able to grow these, and it's one of our favorite fruits to grow, and to grow them and get them in abundance year after year after year, as it's a perennial plant, is a blessing. So always think about the rarity of what you're growing, because there's going to be a lot more value in that. People pay a premium for things that are harder to get. And there's a lot of things you can grow that you can't buy at the store. So keep that in mind. Let's talk about potential health benefits. Well, when you're growing your own food, you're more than likely going to increase your health and hopefully, possibly even prevent future health issues from occurring, which can be extremely expensive. So maybe you cut out that pizza pie that you usually typically have once a week or once every couple weeks that also could be very expensive, $20, $40. And instead, you start making some homemade dishes. Like my favorite dish that Alice makes is tinola. I make some wonderful soups and salads and things myself. But if you can replace some meals that you would typically buy out with home cooked meals, not only are you going to save money, but potentially you're going to be increasing your health to a point where you may be able to prevent future health episodes from occurring, which again could run into the thousands, even up to $1 million in some cases. And you know what those things are. They're very common. A lot of folks have these health concerns, and one of the best ways to overcome health problems is to eat healthy. Eat fresh, living foods. Include those into your diet, organic, and cleanse yourself from time to time. There's different ways to do that as well. Anyway, off topic. So I think I've covered everything, and I'm just going to run through it again. Grow perennials more so than annuals. That's one of the ways you're going to save the most money year to year. Okay. Take into account the cost of the produce that you're growing. If you're growing something that can be bought cheaply at the store versus something that's expensive, and you're able to grow that, grow the expensive stuff. Why not? Okay. Or grow both if you got the room and the time. But just realize you're going to get the most and you're going to save the most money if you grow the things that are more expensive. All right. So value your time, realize what your time is worth, and when you head out to buy ingredients at the store or what have you, just realize that there is a cost that goes beyond the cost of the food itself. All right. So when you're able to stay home and harvest your dinner from the yard, maybe you've got, some excess food in the freezer and in the food cupboard, and you're able to get your fresh ingredients from the yard, you save yourself the time and the effort to go into the store, the gas money and all that stuff. Keep that in mind. And again, $1 saved is $1 earned. And if you can take those dollars saved and invest them in something that's going to give you a good rate of return over time, well, you've just taken that $1 and turned it into hopefully $10 or more. And if you do that enough times, you're going to find financial freedom in that. So that's my wish for you, is to be healthy, happy, and abundant in all ways. You can, again, possibly avert future health crises by eating healthy and eating some of the fresh living foods that you can grow on site. And that's all. That's everything now. So I hope this helps you guys, and I believe it will. And I hope you apply it. As we move forward, I want to give you a few ideas of things that you might want to consider growing today. All right? Fruit trees, of course. Berry shrubs. And tuberous plants, things like yacone, things like Jerusalem artichoke. Grow some greens, okay? Greens are one of the most prolific plants, a lot of them are. I'm not talking about salad greens. Salad's one of those things, again, which is actually pretty cheap to buy if you buy the spring mix and that sort of thing. And with the pest issues that they usually bring in, I'm not the biggest fan of growing these tender lettuces. But if you're good at that, you can definitely make that work for you. But greens like kale and collards and longevity spinach and Malabar spinach and beet greens and even hollyhock flower greens, all these things are abundant and prolific. And so you plant them, and in temperate climates, they're just going to keep reseeding and growing for you year after year without any added effort. So grow these things along with whatever is your favorite plant, whatever is your favorite food that you know that you can grow. And in the end, if you can map down your expenses and you can see your cost savings and you can fully understand what it is you may have added to your wallet, added to your income over the course of the year through saving X amount of dollars, and you've invested that, that's going to give you that wonderful feeling when you're able to actually map that out and understand what it is you're saving. So do that to the best of your ability. Anything that gets rolled back into the garden is an investment. So if you save $10 and you put that $10 back into your garden in form of adding in some good compost or bringing in some new varieties of plants, well, you're just increasing the future abundance coming from your garden. So there's a lot of ways to invest it. It doesn't have to be in any of these financial markets. It can be back into your own life. It could be purchasing a nice mountain bike so that you can get out and again increase your health. So I hope this message helps you, and I hope it inspires you to get growing on a larger scale than ever before, and do so in a way that's going to give back to you in the greatest amount. And so with that, I want to thank you all for watching. Have yourself a great rest of the day. Until next time, this is Dan from plantabundance.com. Take care. I'll be talking to you again soon.